Hello, welcome back. Today I am back with a Dollar Tree edition fall wreath. So these are all of the items. I have a wreath ring, a willow wreath, natural raffia. I have acorns, I have pumpkin clips, and I also have a wreath ring. Then for the flowers, I have two bunches of leaves. I have two bunches of yellow flowers. I have one red and one orangey yellow. I have mini pomegranates as well as mini marigolds. And then I already had wire cutters as well as a hot glue gun. I started off by cutting all of my wired pieces off, and that's basically because I didn't want to have to stop and do it each time I wanted a piece. I wanted everything to be out and prepared. After that, I moved the leaf right up to the base of the flower. I made the wire stem an L shape, and I stuck it right to the wreath ring and wrapped that wire stem right around the wreath ring. I used the wire that connects all three rings to anchor my flower, and I'll show you guys that right here again. You pop that right behind that wire, and then you wrap it around, and it'll give your flower something really stable to hold on to. It doesn't really matter how you wrap it. I was just wrapping it to keep it stable and steady. And then if you have any pieces sticking off at the end, you can just use your wire cutters to cut those right off. And I did that all the way around. There was absolutely no method to my madness. I was just adding flowers as I saw fit, and I kept going until I could barely see the wire ring. That was my goal, to make sure it was really full and really imperfect. The more flowers you add, the more leaves you add, the more you'll see your wreath coming into form. So don't be nervous if it looks a little scarce or looks a little empty. With every flower or leaf you add, it'll add the fullness you're looking for. So don't stop in the middle, just keep going, because mine looked a little scarce and it looked a little sad in the beginning. Be sure to be using your hot glue gun if you want to make sure your leaves are facing the right way, and you know, it's arranged the way you want it to. Use the glue gun to your advantage to keep the pieces exactly where you want them. Now we are moving on to the raffia. There's going to be something wrapped around the very middle. If you just shake that piece a little bit, it'll come right loose. So what I did was line up about 3 pieces. I tied a knot at the end, and that's what you see me gluing right to the back here. I glued that to the back, and then I wrapped the raffia around it. And I moved it in between the flowers, in between the leaves. I didn't necessarily want it to be super seen. I just wanted to add that outside fall aspect very subtly. So I'm gonna add it. I wrapped about 3 separate pieces around my wreath, and you see it poking out here and there. I made sure to cover up the wire. I covered up parts of the flowers I didn't want to be seen. So this is going to help you if you have things that you want to cover up. I also added it in a different way, and I'm going to show you guys that here in a sec. Okay, so right here you see me grab those few little scraps. I wrapped them together a bit in a really messy way, and I just glued those little scraps to the very back of my wreath. I did that a few times, and I did it towards the outside, and I did it towards the center of the wreath ring because I wanted those scraps to peek through the middle and the top. I wanted it to stick out just so you can see it on the outside of the wreath, but I didn't want it to be seen in very large pieces. That's why I was grabbing scraps to make that look that I want. And then once you add all of the scraps that you want to add, or add any of the raffia, you can go back and then cut away pieces that you don't want seen, pieces that aren't flowing correctly, and that's what I did later on in the video. So now for the willow wreath, I just broke off pieces and glued them right to my wreath. I glued them to the flowers. I glued them, but I glued one tip of it, and then I stuck that tip behind a flower, behind a leaf. That way you get that stick out in the open, but you don't see exactly where it's coming from. And this is also an option. This is something that you can or can't do. You can skip the Raffia, you can skip the Willow Wreath, with whatever is your preference. But I really wanted mine to look very fall and very outside, considering it'll be hanging on the door. That's just the look that I was going for. Now that I've cut off my scraps, I'm gluing them right back to my wreath, because like I said, I want a really messy look, and I'm working with what I have. Okay, now for my acorn. These are foams, so you want to be really careful with these, as well as the pomegranates that I ended up gluing on. Those are also foam, so just make sure you're able to use maybe a lower temp one, because I used a high temp glue gun and it was melting the foam. So I had to move really fast just to get it attached to something, so the glue can be distributed more places. But yeah, it really melted. And here I'm also just gluing my pomegranates. For my pomegranates, I ended up cutting the stem as short as I possibly could up until the leaf, and then just sticking it all over and gluing it. The pumpkins have clips on them, so you can literally clip them to the wire, to the stems of the flowers. You can clip them anywhere. I really like the fact that the pumpkins had that, and they are literally the perfect size. And another thing I'll say is to keep a few of your items, like one of each, because when you get to the end and you hang your wreath up, you'll be able to tell more what you want to add and where. So throughout my entire process doing this, I was lifting my wreath to see what I wanted to add more of, what did or didn't look right, or what I had to move around. So make sure you keep some pieces off to the side that you can add once you hang your wreath, like on a door in a house, like I'm doing here, just to see what needs to be added, whether or not it looks good. So that's what I did with mine. And I really, really love the outcome. It's already on my front door. I am so proud of myself for my $14 wreath. Please let me know if you've done this before, if you love this. Comment down below. Give me some ideas of what you want to see me DIY next. Bye.